session will be made known to the public at a later date. All contracts awarded by mayor and council must comply with the affirmative action requirements of NJAC 17:27. Fire is located in the direction I am indicating. In the event of a fire, please move in a calm, orderly manner to the nearest smoke-free exit. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yekaba?
Here.
Councilman Hokinson?
Here.
Councilman Casais?
Here.
Councilwoman Story? Here. Councilman Kelly?
Here.
Councilman El Marassi?
Here.
And Mayor Carty.
Here.
All members present, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, I would ask everybody to please stand, and I would ask for a moment of silence in honor of Ray Arocha, who's a local resident who recently passed. He was a Newark police officer who recently passed. Madam Clerk, please lead us in a prayer and pledge of allegiance.
Eternal God, grant us thy help in all our duties and all our complexities. We ask for thy guidance. Give us thy protection in all our dangers and all our sorrows. Grant us thy peace. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I believe there were some communications for this evening.
Yes, Mayor, we have a request from the residents of the 600 block of Elm Street to hold a block party on Saturday, September 27th, 2014, from 1 p.m. until 10 p.m. And we have a request from the residents of the 100 block of West Roselle Avenue between Elm and Larch to hold a block party on Saturday, September 27th, 2014, from 2 p.m. till 10 p.m. with a rain date of Saturday, October 4th, 2014.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Have both requests been cleared with the police department and DPW?
Both have been sent to both, Mayor.
Have there been no negative comments from you?
No, sir.
Okay. I think we have to move to approve those two requests. Do I hear a motion?
Mayor, I would like, Mayor and members of council, I would like to make a motion to approve the communications.
Second. Any questions or comments? We'll do them both together unless somebody has a comment about it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The requests are hereby approved. I'll forego my recommendations of mayor for this evening, and I would like to, at this time, call up an old family friend of mine, Mr. James Bigliotti. I grew up in Roselle Park from an early age. I remember the voice of Mr. Bigliotti, whether it was at a town event or at the church. He really mesmerized everybody with his beautiful singing voice. For the past 56 years, I haven't been around that long, but I can't think of one event that he has not been at, singing the national anthem and closing with God Bless America. And he thinks that that's the reason why I called him up here today, because I want to thank him for that, which I really do. But the real reason why I wanted to have Mr. Bigliotti up here with me this evening is because some of you may not realize that he is the exemplification of the greatest generation. And he's a humble man that would never, ever discuss his accomplishments. He's about love of family. He's about love of community. He's about love of nation. He's not about self-aggrandizement. But I want to tell you a little story about Mr. Bigliotti. Mr. Bigliotti was a young man when World War II broke out. His older brother, who was 5 years older than him, had been drafted into the military. His next oldest brother, who was 3 years older than him, was also drafted into the military right after Pearl Harbor. Mr. Bigliotti had to fight with his father volunteer to join the military after Pearl Harbor. He did so knowing full well that he would likely end up in combat, but he wanted to be able to choose which branch he went into. Mr. Vigliotti chose the Army Air Corps. He enlisted on October 23, 1942, and he went to Fort Dix, New Jersey for indoctrination, right here in New Jersey. He was asked what choice of duty he wanted, and he volunteered to be an aerial gunner, one of the most dangerous positions anybody could ever choose in the Army Air Corps. He was sent to Miami Beach, Florida for training, and then he was assigned to Tyndall Field, where he finalized his training as an aerial gunner. He was promoted to sergeant at that point. He went to Atlantic City, from where he was deployed overseas to Europe. The way that it worked back then was aerial gunners were assigned individually to fill open positions. Mr. Vigliotti was assigned to a B-17 Flying Fortress. That is one of the deadliest aircraft that this country has ever utilized. And it's a very safe aircraft to fly. But we have to mass produce this aircraft because of the dangers involved in their missions. At a time when 25 missions were required in order to be considered a combat veteran of those aircraft, most of the aircraft could only make 4 or 5 missions before they were shot down. In spite of that, Mr. Vigliotti insisted on becoming a gunner of one of those aircraft. He went across the ocean on the Queen Mary ocean liner with 17 other 1,000 personnel who landed in Scotland. While he was over there, before he even got into an aircraft, you want to talk about dangerous, he was wrestling with a buddy of his, and he broke his ankle. So that landed him in the hospital for a little while. But that wasn't going to stop him. He was assigned to the 92nd Bomb Group, the 325th Bomb Squadron, as a replacement aerial gunner on that B-17 Flying Fortress. He's a little man, which I like, short stature. So his operations officer thought that he would be very good in the small ball turret gun. He flew 5 combat missions while sitting there, and 3 of those combat missions had some problems. On one mission, the oil on the 50 caliber machine gun froze and it couldn't be fired. On another mission, the oil on the Vickers unit, which is the motor that runs the ball turret to swing the turret around, caught on fire. He was able to put it out before the aircraft crashed. On yet another mission of those 5 missions, as he got into the ball turret, he lost a piece of his helmet that kept the oxygen mask in place. He told the pilot not to worry, he would be okay. Because of the lack of oxygen, he passed out while the aircraft was flying. That's what he was told afterwards. He doesn't remember that at all. Mr. Vigliotti's operation officer then put him into several other positions on the aircraft, the waist gunner or tail gunner position. The tail gunner position is one of the most dangerous and perilous positions on that aircraft. He flew 17 missions in those 2 positions. He received a promotion to staff sergeant. Eventually, he was promoted to the position of nose gunner in a new upgraded B-17G. He was only supposed to fly 25 missions, but he insisted on continuing and flying additional missions. Mr. Vigliotti was involved in the D-Day operation, and he was asked at that point to fly indefinite missions, not knowing when he would return home. Finally, after the operations staff realized that he had flown 34 missions, not more than was required, they decided to send him home. One of the missions that he flew on, the aircraft went over Berlin. He was bombing Berlin. And the aircraft was hit. The engine of the aircraft burst into flame. One engine went out over Germany. pilot continued flying. And another engine went out over France. Now these planes used to fly in formations because it was much safer for protective reasons when they could use the weapons on all the aircraft to protect each other's aircraft. However, his plane, with only 2 engines instead of the usual 4 engines, was slower than the other aircraft. So at one point, his plane fell back and joined yet another squadron that was flying back toward England. When they hit the coast by France, a 3rd engine went out. And the pilot, knowing that they were in trouble, told them all to dispose of any excess equipment that they had in the aircraft. So anything that was loose, Mr. Vigliotti threw out the door, like in the movies, except this was real life. And Mr. Vigliotti is here with us today because of the actions that he took on that flight and the 33 other flights that he took into flak and fire for our nation. Mr. Vigliotti truly is an example of the greatest generation. For his courage, for his efforts for our nation, he received an aerial gunner, he received the aerial gunner's wings, a distinguished flying cross, an air medal with 3 Oakley clusters, a presidential unit citation, and a good conduct medal, as well as a European Theater medal. Mr. Vigliotti also joined up for the Korean War because he had that sense of duty and motivation. Just want to read a commendation that was written by his commanding officer when he was in Europe. It affords me great pleasure to commend you upon the successful completion of your operational tour in this theater. Your courage, coolness, and tenacity of purpose in the face of the most determined enemy opposition reflect great credit upon yourself and the Army Air Forces. The example you have set will always live as a goal for succeeding combat crew members of this command. As you leave this group and go on to other duties, you have the appreciation of the entire staff for a job well done. Mr. Vigliotti, I salute you. His family, please come up and join us as I give a key to see.
Is there a 5-year-old in the audience? Is there a 5-year-old?
Keith, here, hurry up.
For those of you that might have any questions about this, I can tell you Mr. Vigliotti has a list of every one of his combat missions, every date, and every location that he went out. And there's one that he has highlighted on June 6th, when he flew for D-Day. So Mr. Vigliotti is truly a member of the greatest generation and somebody who I am very proud of, and very proud and honored to present the key to the city of Roselle Park. Thank you very much, Mr. Vigliotti.
Thank you. First of all, I got to thank everybody that heard what I went through. I want to thank my family. Without them, I don't know if I could survive this long. Actually, I did what I love. Mainly, my secondary thing was singing. I sang from here to there. I did a lot I did what I had to do here in town and also in my church. Actually, I'm proud of what I did, and I hope everybody else is proud that I did too. Thank you very much. Okay, appreciate it.
You want to sing one more time?
He was asked if he wants to sing. I didn't ask him to do that tonight. I didn't want to put him to work. You're welcome to sing if you want.
Always ready.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Sometimes I get too caught up in the moment, and I just did that, and I apologize. Mr. and Mrs. Leonard are here also, and they would like to make a presentation as well. Mr. Vigliani, could you please come forward again?
Front and center.
And I apologize.
Front and center.
I'd like to thank Mayor and Council for allowing me to be here tonight. I've known Mr. Vigliani for 45 years, first meeting him at Church of the Assumption, and then at all the events in Roselle Park. I am regent of the Daughters of the American Revolution Cranford chapter, and the chapter would like to present you with a certificate. I'm going to read it. The National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution Certificate of Award presented to James Vigliotti for leading Roselle Park in patriotic singing at public events for 56 years and distinguished service to our country in the Army Air Force during World War II. Presented to you by the Cranford chapter of the DAR.
Thank you very much. It is humbling to stand next to Mr. Vigliani, and I thank you again for your service to our community and to our nation. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to begin with the reports of the standing committees and members of council, and we are in the month of September, so I will begin with our third ward councilman, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. Don't have anything to report tonight, but do have two matters for closed session. Occidental versus the joint meeting of Essex County, and Elizabeth versus the joint meeting of Essex County. Thank you, Mayor.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Be careful.
Next up is our fourth ward council representative, Councilman Gino Amarasi. Before we get started, I want to congratulate Councilman Amarasi, who is a newlywed. Congratulations.
Thank you,
everyone. Good evening, everybody. Just came back from vacation, happy marriage, and by the way, I'm expecting a baby coming up soon. I'd like to mention, I don't have any report this time, but I'd like to mention Roselle Park High School marching band will be hosting and targeting band of competition on Saturday, October 11 at 6 p.m. And I hope to see all here in council joining us.
Thank you very much. Next up is our Fifth Ward Councilman Montero.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Councilman Rossi, congratulations again on both occasions. And it's great. Just a quick report today. First and foremost, I had a couple of residents reach out to me asking when the work is going to happen in the Fifth Ward for the street repavement on West Lincoln Avenue. Reached out to our borough engineer, Mr. Tom Solfero, and he indicated to me that they're looking to have a pre-construction meeting within the next 2 weeks, and hopefully at the very early part of October, as long as the weather is cooperative, they're going to look to start the work there. So I appreciate him getting back to me, and if anyone else had questions about it, hopefully this will give them the answer. But I know that it's a very bumpy road, and as you're coming out of the Aldine School area, whether you make a right or a left, you're still hitting a lot of those bumps, and it really tests the shocks in your brakes. So we're going to try to put a stop to that and get it repaired. And I appreciate, obviously, this was an effort during the budget that all the mayor and council worked on and realized that this was something that needed to be done. The second thing is that I'm going to be looking to host a community watch meeting, the next one. Looking at the date of Tuesday, October 21st at 7 p.m. here at Borough Hall. Last time we had a great discussion about creating a resident himself who decided to create a community dialogue on a Facebook page about any happenings in town, and it's been pretty good because there's been a lot of people posting, a lot of people commenting on things that they're seeing around town, and people are able to share and hopefully get some of those issues addressed. So I think it's just a great way for residents to communicate, and I really thank the gentleman for coming up, stepping up to the plate and creating it in that particular way of communication. So, and lastly, I've only known Mr. Bigliotti throughout my time on council as somebody who sang at a lot of our events, and I've always appreciated his voice and his singing and his coming up and really energizing our community. I didn't know the entire back history of his military experience, so I thank the mayor and council for sharing that. It's really inspiring, and I think if we haven't already, other than this occasion, that's certainly something that should be shared with the youth and our kids in town, because he really is an inspiration and a very humble gentleman as well. So I've always appreciated his candidness with me, and again, I'm very honored to know him. So with that concludes my report.
Next up is our Councilman at Large, Council President Carl Hoganson.
Thank you, Mayor. At the beginning of the council meeting, condolences for your Roger family. Also, we lost another great Parker today, Rusty Harris. My condolences go out to Rusty Harris, him, Anthony Roger, are two fine examples, like Mr. Bigliotti, of what Roselle Park is. What I'm known to come to people as Parkers, great people going back years and years and years, and I hope Mr. Bigliotti will be singing for a good many years to come. So, with that, on Friday, September 5th, I'd like to thank Karen and the Cassano crew for having movie night. We picked up a few more people, so that was good. On Sunday, September 7th, I had the honor of meeting with the Indo-American Society at the Cassano Center. And I'd like to thank Dr. Patel, who is a physician in Edison, who comes up to donate his time, and also gave out the sugar testing machines, to the people in the audience. So it's nice to see that he comes up to volunteer. And again, thank Karen and everybody for opening up the Cassano Center for them. On Wednesday, September the 10th, I attended the Union County Transportation meeting in Scotch Plains. I don't know if you read it in the paper. The Union County was awarded a $700-something-thousand grant because of the infrastructure on the Gordon Street Bridge, which technically its efficiency is at 22.8%. So the bridge will be, this year, the infrastructure, the plans will be drawn up. And 2015, you will see it being replaced. Also, the one-seat ride was brought up again. There's a big push on that to get that as a permanent thing. We're in phase 2 of phase 4. It would be a great boost, you know, to the borough because of our train station all along the line. So there's a big support and a big push from everybody, you know, to get that, you know, done. Looks like it's your night, Aaron. Great job, September 11th. Short, sweet, to the point. I'd like to thank Mary Ann Bombach. I'd like to thank all the people that attended. I'd like to thank our volunteers that were here, the family members, of course, who lost the loved ones. It was a good job on everybody's part, and I was thankful that I was here. On Saturday, September 13th, I had the honor of going out with a bunch of volunteers. We cleaned up Westfield Avenue. Karen, it's your night, Karen. Car show. It got rained out on Saturday. Oh, to back up, I'd just like to thank all the people with the art show at the library. Okay, it was a nice showing. The dance studio, the artists, seeing up the guy in the corner. That goes back when we were kids with the hot rods. So the guy from Montclair. It was really a nice turnout. Large amount of people for, even though it being a rainy day, you know, it turned out quite well at the library. Karen, the car show. Good turnout considering it was, the rain came. Thank DJ Mike. He was DJing over in Clark. He brought about 10 cars with him. It was a nice, nice turnout. The weather turned out nice. I also like to thank the Tarantino family for coming to accepting the trophy. That was good. On Tuesday, September 16th, upstairs, I attended the Board of Health meeting. If anybody needs anything, I have the minutes, anything that was discussed. It's also online, but if anybody needs it, I have that. And just a couple of upcoming events. Tomorrow night, we have another movie night at the Casano Center. The movie will be Lego. And also tomorrow night at the Church of the Assumption, there's a comedy show by the gentlemen who are trying to revise the Park Theater. It's at the Church of the Assumption. It's $25 to get in. It's a B.O.B. So that should be a fun night for that. On Sunday the 21st, September 21st from 1 to 5, there will be a pasta dinner at the Church of the Assumption for one of our local Eagle Scouts in town. That's about that close from becoming an Eagle Scout. Also, on Monday, September the 29th, from 6 to 8 o'clock, I have my annual meet and greet at Costa's Restaurant. It's open to the public. Anybody who wants to come, yell at me, whatever. It'll be there from 6 to 8. And also, I'd like to congratulate the lunch truck that comes to our farmers market on Wednesdays. He was voted #1 lunch truck in the state of New Jersey. So, congratulations to him. And I have one matter to go to committee, and that's the discussion on Halloween. A couple of residents have been, if you want to do it, if you want me to help you, whatever you want. So it's one matter that I would like to wait until we have open for the committee. Go back to committee. And other than that, again, my condolences to the Harris family and the Roger family. It's a shame Newark lost one of their best. So, and we lost 2 great Parkers today. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. And now I'd like to turn it over to our first ward council representative, Councilman Andrew Casillas.
Thank you, Mayor. In conjunction with what Councilman Yakubov was talking about earlier with this year's road program, I was happy to sign some of the purchase orders tonight to get that moving, so that is moving along steadily. I'm happy to say that over the last 3 to 4 years, so I'm not just saying when I was on council, but even prior to that, we did start a pretty heavy infrastructure improvement program that's really come to fruition in Roselle Park. That culminated in the completion of East Grand Avenue, which I think was a great success and a great accomplishment, one of the biggest projects in this borough's history. And that I'm happy, and piggybacking on what Councilman Hogan said about the Gordon Street Bridge, that was actually a statewide example of the infrastructure needs that New Jersey has in general. And it's nice to see that some of that money coming back to the county and then coming back to the borough. So that's definitely a good thing. And I'm happy to see that continue here and in the region. One thing that I do want to just throw out to council for all the liaisons to the departments and the department heads you work with, the 5-year, the 10-year plan that we discussed during the budget crafting process, we did set the deadline of October 1st, so that quickly came up on us, but please remind your department heads. I know, luckily I have finance, so they don't really have that many capital requests, but if you could just talk to your departments and just remind them that they're trying to get them in around October 1st so the Finance Committee can meet and evaluate them and put them in and put them on a schedule for the council's consideration in future years. I've had several meetings over the last couple of weeks with our Chief Financial Officer, and those meetings will probably continue until the end of my term, which is the end of the year, on various issues that we are trying to wrap up prior to the end of the year. A couple of them are on the agenda tonight, also in conjunction with public safety, which is on the agenda tonight as well, and I'll be happy to discuss that when we get to those items. That's all I have to report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is our second ward council representative, Councilwoman Charlene Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been asked by the library to mention a few programs that they have coming up. One that seems kind of appropriate after Mr. Vigliani being here today is that there will be a Classics with a Twist, which is presented by the New Jersey Council for the Humanities, and bring your singing voice. These songs are done as sing-alongs with the audience. It's a pianist and lecturer. This will be on Saturday, September 27th at 12 p.m., and I am open to bribes for keeping my mouth shut. Also on September 25th, which is a Thursday at 7 p.m., there will be an introductory seminar on hospice volunteers, because every moment matters. This is something I can certainly relate to. When my dad was dying, he was at home, but a hospice volunteer came every week to sit with him and give my mom a break and so on, and it made a tremendous difference. So you certainly can make a difference. It says here, learn how you can use your gift of compassion to enrich the lives of those with life-limiting illnesses. And that, again, is Thursday, September 25th at 7 p.m. at the library. I would also like to mention the Roselle Park Loves Art show at the library, and I'd like to thank Pam Reynoso, who did a wonderful job of putting that together and promoting it. If you were there, it was just a really fun day, and it was a shame that it rained and that created some confusion when things weren't they? And it was unfortunate that the truck from the museum could not open up down there, but they brought things inside, and it was a lot of fun. And I also think that we owe a debt of gratitude to Kit Rubino for volunteering to open the library that day, which was really, really nice of her. Very good of her to do that. Kind of going on the art idea, Mrs. Rosaniello, the art teacher at the Sherman School, has another donorschoice.org project underway. She is trying to raise money for an iPad for her art class, and she is halfway there. So anyone who is open to contributing to that, it's Donors Choose, I should say, donorschoose.org, and you can just search for Sherman School on that. There was a mention of Mr. Vigliani, and how important it is for everyone for younger people and for everyone really to remain aware of his wonderful accomplishments. And I'd like to point out that Ed Leonard of the Roselle Park Historical Society actually has sort of taken care of that already. He did an interview with Mr. Vigliani. It is recorded, so that is part of our record for Roselle Park, and that's something that young people can look to for over the years to learn about this wonderful man's fabulous history. And finally, the last thing, shortly before I left the house today, I heard a very sad story on the radio news about an elderly man in, I think it was Staten Island, who was scammed by people posing as utility workers, and they walked out of his house in a matter of minutes with $70,000 he had there. Please, if anybody comes to your home, make sure they are who they claim to be. Don't keep $70,000 in your house. I mean, I know there's not much interest today. Your mattress gives you nothing. If you have any doubt, or even if you don't have any doubt, just to make sure, please give a call to the Roselle Park Police Department. They will check out whether these people are legitimate. 245-2300. They won't mind. You don't have to feel foolish. This is what they're there for. This seems to be happening more and more lately, and I wouldn't want to see any of our seniors taking advantage. And that's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I do want to thank a few people for some of the events that took place in the past week. Councilman Hokinson already hit on those who assisted in the September 11th ceremony. I especially want to reach out and thank our first responders who were here, the fire department, first aid squad, and the police department, honor guard. And I thank them for their attendance, but also for their service to our community. And obviously, I want to thank those who were involved in the ceremony, but also the families of those who perished that day, who came to the ceremony. We want you to know that we always are thinking about those who perished. I also want to thank those who participated in the Roselle Park Arts event. I have a list of names that was provided by Pam Reynoso, who's the person who organized it. And I'm sure that I'm going to forget somebody, but I'd like to read off those who I could remember. We have Jenny Linton-Walner, Charlene Story, Terry Scutro, Lenore Bontiago, Kit Rubino, Michelle Lamonto, Jeff Vito, Leona Sufert, Pat Pagnetti, Megan McCarty, Maria Perez, Planet Dance, Al Walkoff, Benny Caberly, David Paterno, Sunjata Senku, Jess Hess, Julius Tolentino, Michelle Tolentino, Yasko Coco, Too Many Stars Screen Printing, Ganges Point, The Park Theater, Pompeii Pizza, Vintage Restaurant, Bob's Card Park, Costas Pizzeria, Now Pecan Restaurant, Chestnut Hill Deli and Market, B-News, and of course Karen Intal for all that they did for that event. I thank you all. Please support the businesses that supported us on this event. And remember, it takes a village, and this was an event that really was run by a village, and we thank everybody who assisted and everybody who participated. I also want to thank Leona Sufert and Lenore Bontiago on the children's art exhibit. We had a presentation the other night. The children who participated in every one of the paintings, drawings was absolutely phenomenal. Eric Bruckenstein, Cassandra Cordero, Angelina George, Julian George, Mason Harms, Edward Kennedy, Vana Mendoza, Jacob Ortiz, Sophia Ortiz, Tristan Palma, and Grace Vita. I thank you all for your beautiful artwork, and Lenore Bontiago for coaching them along, and Leona Sufert for presenting the show. Also, I want to remind everybody that Arts in the Schools Week is this week. We did sign a proclamation that we forwarded to the schools because Roselle Park does support the arts, so we thank everybody for that support. At this time, I would like to invite up Karen Intile for her comments this evening. Only 20. That explains a lot.
Watch your head.
Joe's yours.
Doing what he does best. Thank you very much for helping me. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody for thanking me for doing what I love to do from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate your appreciation, but I love it. I'm very honored to have the job I have, so, but thank you. I do have a comment about Mr. Vigliotti. I've known Mr. Vigliotti since I had my job, and he was always very active at the Casano Center. And he is the most wonderful, gentle, kind man to know, and I'm very lucky to have known him. And I just want to thank him for all the help he's given me, especially in helping me through veterans events, the Memorial Day and Veteran Day events, and explaining to me the right protocol. He's just a wonderful man all the way around, so I'm glad he was honored tonight. Just quickly, again, I'm always doing this, but I always have to. We keep continuously getting donations for our food pantry, whether it's money or actual food. It's been wonderful because, again, every time we get a new supply of food, it's gone. It's gone within 3 to 4 days, and that includes our churches give to us, residents, organizations, Rotary. I don't want to name people because I'm going to forget, but all kinds of local organizations in town, and I thank everybody in the schools also. I want to thank those that helped for the 9/11 service. It was very nicely done, and I had a lot of help with the volunteers, and I'm just lucky. We have a lot of good people in town that do help me, so thank you. The Cruising Night Car Show, it was supposed to be coordinated with the Art Day and Discover Roselle Park, and as you said already, it rained, so Saturday was a lot of the art stuff and Discover Roselle Park, with some little art stuff left over for Sunday for our car show, and it was coordinated very nice with your event too. So I mean, it was a nice day, the car show, like you said, even though it was the rain day. We did get 25 cars, and believe me, 25 cars isn't bad for overnight phone calls and everything. So it was very good, and we do have to thank DJ Mike because he did get the word out at the Clark show. So it was okay. Hopefully next season it doesn't rain, and we don't have to, postpone it. I want to remind everybody of the big band sound that's coming in November, on November 15th at the Casano Center. It's a free concert by Masterpiece. This is the name of the band. It's Joe Corselli's big band, and it's between 3 and 4:30. There'll be light refreshments. It's an excellent program. He has the best band, so for a free program, it's a great Saturday late afternoon thing to come do. I don't think anybody mentioned the farmers market. I'm sure you mentioned it at the earlier meeting this month, but don't forget that they extended the farmers market through the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, because there's been a lot of different produce that are still coming out. So that's nice. And I also have to thank the Friends of the Library. They bring over the produce Wednesday night, some of the stuff that the farmers don't want to bring back, but it's still very good, and we give it out during our food pantry on the Thursday. So it's a nice program. in coordination with Art, again, we have our Twisted Tales artwork from the students of artist Lenore Bontiago. It's at the Cassano Center. We'll run through October 17th. It's because it's entitled Twisted Tales because children present their known fairy tales, poems, nursery rhymes, and folklore, but I've put a little twist on it, their own personal twist, and it's very, very nice. If you haven't seen it yet, you have to come see it. And again, a reminder, the Lego movie will be featured tomorrow night. So that's going to be at the Cassano Center with the thanks of Councilman at Large Carl Hokinson and the Friends of the Library. My group went to the Hunterton Hills Playhouse today to see Breaking Legs. The bus again was given to us by the borough, so we thank you for paying for the 48-seat bus with the bathroom. Teachers loved that, and they had a wonderful time. Already I've gotten feedback from people. They came home early. I was at the center. They walked in and said it was wonderful. They thanked me for allowing them to go, but I mean, I didn't allow them, but they had a good time, and that's all that counts. And the nurse continues to come the last Tuesday of the month between 11 and 12 at the Cassano Community Center for free blood pressure screening. And the only other item I have to say, unless you have questions, is that I received last week a very generous donation to two organizations in town, very worthy First Aid Squad, the Roselle Park First Aid Squad, and to the Roselle Park Cassano Community Center from the Indian organization in town, BAPS. So if I can just bring this up to Borough Clerk Doreen and then Kyle Isley to the Chief Financial Officer.
We continue to thank our Indo-American community who are very supportive of our efforts in town, and we thank you for the generous donation.
They're all kind of connected. Okay.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments for?
Yeah, I've got to ask, what is a haunted Chinese luncheon?
Well, we always try to make a twist of something, so we always try to do something for Halloween, and the seniors love when they get their individual Chinese food packages. We order it from a local Chinese restaurant, and they bring it in. Everybody gets their own little, and so they're invited to wear scary clothes. And they do come in dressed, the seniors, so it's going to be a frightening lunch.
Or maybe some fright when they open it.
That too. I can continue, but I don't want to.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, do you have any comments this evening? Thank you, Madam Clerk. So let's move along then. I will entertain a motion to accept the reports of the departments.
Mayor, members of council, I would like to make a motion to approve the reports of the departments.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All those opposed? Reports of the departments hereby accepted.
Mayor, you missed our chief legal counsel.
Oh,
No, I did that on purpose because I didn't want to do a whole bunch of closed session items.
Moving along quite well.
Thank you. Yeah, let me get ready. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. As Councilman Casillas, Mayor, I could give some good news. No closed session items.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Is there anything else you would like to tell us this evening? Because that's good news.
Sir, all legal fronts are going forward. Hope to have some more updates in the next meeting, but all's quiet right now.
This is the best news I've heard all day. Thank you. Okay, sorry about that. Moving along then, it's time for a public comment portion. I'll entertain a motion. Any second?
Mayor, members of council,
I'd like to make a motion that we open the meeting to the public.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The meeting is now open for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind.
Thank you. I would.
Thank you.
Jacob McGarrett, 612 Sheridan Avenue, Roselle Park. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, viewing audience, members of council, good evening. To the chair for our borough attorney. On page 12, the Star Ledger, on the 12th of September, 17th of September, little from settlement will go to cleaning polluted Passaic River, Occidental Chemical. It's in the workings, but very little money. There are 20 people in the audience, one child. To the chair, canceling capital ordinance 196-14, please explain. Still with the chair. Explain abolishing special improvement district. And also, I'd like to bring up the passing of Joseph Ravino. He's a councilman in 1989. And congratulations to Mr. Bigalotti. I know him for about 30 years. Very good voice.
This is the first I've ever heard of Mr. Rubino.
And to the chair, and to the members, and to the audience, and the concerned citizens of Roselle Park will hold our meeting on September 27, 2014, at the Vintage Restaurant, 9 West Westfield Avenue, from 1 to 2:30 p.m. Complimentary food and drink. Ladies and gentlemen, the audience, viewing audience, members of council, good evening.
Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind.
Glenmore Chesky, 622 Sherman Avenue. How's the mayor and council doing today, and how's everybody feel today? I'm so proud of Mr. VI for many years. He's done more than anybody's done for many years, even in the armed forces. That's why I'm so proud of him when he did the blood bank for so many years. My mother was with him all the time, working on it as well. I mean, he did so many different things. I mean, being a trustee in a church and all that stuff. It's not just the armed forces, but I tell you, he's one of the best person I know in town for many years as a kid. I tried to sing as good as him, but I couldn't. I tried, but I wasn't as good as him. He's the best. And I wanted to thank Andrew Casillas for what I feel so proud of him. Getting a job in Bayonne as head chief of staff. It was amazing how that came out. I was with my brother, and all these people were telling me about him, how wonderful he is and stuff, and how young he is, and I said, I just feel so proud for him.
Thank you.
I was just surprised, and the mayor of Bayonne said to say hello to you.
I saw him at 6 o'clock today.
And I'm sure that the mayor Bayonne says hello to you as well.
He did, actually. He mentioned that he had a nice conversation with you.
Oh, he's something else. He's a nice man. I met him Sunday at a parish picnic in my brother's parish. Our Lady of Mount Carmel, Bayonne. It's amazing. Now the big concern is all these houses that are been bank owned. Kids are breaking into houses and turning them into party houses. I've heard about this. It's amazing. Somebody told me about this. Not only that, but they're also stealing copper as well. That has happened just a couple days ago. The bank checked the house and found it. Not too far from where I live. That's only 1 block away on Sheridan Avenue. You couldn't miss it. It's a house with a blue tarp around it. But what's surprising me is these houses are abandoned. And when the heat's not on these houses in the winter, what do you think's going to happen when the pipes burst? When they turn the water on in these houses, guess what's going to happen? It's going to leak like you wouldn't believe through the walls and everything else. You're going to have to take a shower anywhere you want. I've seen this happen before. Because my father told me when he wanted to go fix this house up that a doctor bought one time, and he said, you know, the heat wasn't on. So what happened was the coldest day of the year. Then when he turned it on, the walls were leaking like crazy everywhere. Upstairs, downstairs, every place. I've never seen it like this. What happens is if you have sump pumps and there's no electricity to run them, what do you think is going to happen when it backs up? It brings in black mold and everything else. Those houses will be worthless inside. But nobody knows about this because the towns only look at the outside but not the inside of these homes. And I'm concerned about this because it's, you know, at the end it's going to be something else. I saw it to some people and they were telling me about this. It's amazing. That's why I figured I had to tell you people about this because I'm telling the truth. Because, you know, the sore's back up or something. It's not going to pump the water out. It's just going to sit there. And then the mold sits in. I've been exposed to it. And let me tell you, I worked in the church and I was exposed to it. Every 3 to 4 months I was getting antibiotics. And I couldn't believe it. In a workplace, they can't believe it was that bad. And it was in the small area where all the little kids are. And I said, I couldn't believe it in the basement. That convent building. I could not believe how bad that was. Thank God they took care of it. Now they don't have it anymore. But what it does is it hits you so, you know, months later you feel it. You could be in that room for like an hour and you can face that every so often. If you work there, you get it constant because you're breathing it. The spores are in the air. I just figured to tell people to be careful of that because it's very dangerous. You can wind up, it can kill you at the end. I wish you to have a nice day and take care.
Thank you. Yes, Council President.
Can I comment? Sure. In regards to what was said, there's a few things, and I think my borough attorney can back me up on this. One, it's private property. Everybody's home is their castle. Yes, there are quite a few of them in town. Yes, the banks do own them. But we, as council, can take care of the outside, but the grasses, any other things as far as holes in the roof, which we have been doing. But as far as the inside goes, until something does happen, it's considered private property and we have no jurisdiction on it until it turns into an emergency. And that's where our professionals will take over, and our building code, so forth and so on. So I keep an eye and ear open. I haven't heard of any incidences. I just text the chief. He will be looking into it. But again, it is private property. The banks do own them. We do what we can to work with the banks to keep the outsides clean, the grass cut, and any other problems like that we address. But as far as the insides, we can't do nothing until, I'm sorry to say, it does happen. And yes, you know, pipes do break during the cold. So that's my comment.
In terms of both the number and the percentage of bank-owned properties, Roselle Park is either the lowest or certainly at the low end of the spectrum compared to other Union County communities and statewide, I would guess. We do keep track of all the bank-owned properties, and we do everything that we can to mitigate any potential exposures to the neighbors. Or, as you said, Councilman Hopkinson, you're right, we don't have the legal authority to enter those properties. Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address, tell us your mind.
Okay, Mayor, members of council, at this time, I would like to make a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Public comment portion is now closed.
Mayor,
Yes.
could I just address a couple of the comments that were made during public portion? First one is ordinance 2418, abolishing the special improvement district. I authored that ordinance, and I'm putting it forward for council's consideration. Obviously, there's not discussion tonight about it. There'll be discussion at the following meeting where there'll be a public hearing, and the public will have an opportunity to speak on it. There's just several issues that I think are pressing enough to bring to the full council's consideration of whether or not this is a system that is truly working for our downtown and the businesses and the landlords in the downtown business district. So we'll have some more discussion on that. In terms of the ordinance 2415, which is appropriating $100,000 out of capital surplus, and resolution 196-14. I think the question was actually on the resolution canceling $102,000 of capital ordinances or capital items. The ordinance 2415 is designating, they're connected, so that needs to be first understood, that we're canceling some of the money that's pre-appropriated and repurposing it as capital surplus, and then using it toward what we're using it for in 2415, which would be for communications equipment for our public safety departments. We noticed a couple of areas that are in need of upgrade sooner rather than later. And luckily we have this money that has been left unused for years. And we're going to transfer it into surplus and then repurpose it for communications equipment. We're canceling $102,000 and we're repurposing $100,000, which means that $2,000 will go into surplus and be untouched, and $100,000 will be utilized.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe we have no minutes to be approved this evening, but we do have bills and payrolls.
Mayor, members of council, I would like to make a motion.
No motion, no bills and
sorry.
payrolls.
Sorry about that. We got so much right here. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to close the public portion.
Bills and
There's a
payrolls.
payroll.
Do I hear a motion that the bills and payrolls be not read and they be passed for payment, Council President?
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Bills and payrolls are passed for payment. Okay, Council President, now you're on. Madam Clerk, could you please read ordinance 2414 by title only?
Ordinance 2414 is an ordinance establishing Chapter 20H, Section 6 of the Code of the Borough of Roselle Park, defining and establishing the fee for bulk a la carte pickup.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mayor and members of council, I would like to make a motion that the public hearing on ordinance 2414 be open.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The public hearing portion for ordinance 2414 is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on ordinance 2414 and ordinance 2414 only, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind.
Mayor, members of council, I would like to make a motion, seeing no one, to close the public hearing on ordinance number 2414-2414.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Public hearing portion for ordinance 2414 is now closed.
Mayor, members of council, I would like to make a motion that ordinance number 2414-2414 be adopted on the second reading as advertised by law.
Second.
Questions or comments? I would like to say that there have been some comments thrown about with regard to bulk pickup, including the fact that it might only cost, be a tax increase of $10 to do an additional bulk pickup. I hope that this doesn't preclude the community going forward. I'm not going to be on the dais next year. Going forward with continuing to do a borough-wide, town-paid-for bulk pickup. That's what I hope, and that's what I believe everybody on council is in agreement with. What this does, however, is it avoids everybody's taxes going up $10 because somebody might want an additional pickup. It also gives residents the ability to call up and say, I want this pickup, and not have to wait for the borough-wide bulk pickup. So it truly is a convenience provided to residents. It doesn't cost everybody for the convenience, and it opens it up. For example, if you decide to move in April, to call up and say, I'd like this bulk pickup to take place at my house, and have everything carted away, and not have to wait and put things in the garage until June or July when the borough-wide bulk pickup will be. So I do hope that what council's intent is when they do pass this, if they pass this, is to continue doing the borough-wide bulk pickup as we have done, and this is just an additional service that we're providing to residents. Yes.
Mayor, I echo your sentiment, and yes, that is the intention that I have. We'll get one bulk pickup, and depending on how funds go, we can always see if we can get a second one. But this is the phase that maybe we can tweak some of the costs, to see how it goes, But it's a stepping stone. We can tweak it, and it's year round. It's year round, folks. It's in the middle of winter that Santa Claus brings you a new box spring and mattress. The next day you can call to get rid of it, because I have seen and I've been to areas where people have put sofas, mattresses, rugs in their backyards for months waiting for the bulk pickup to come. Meanwhile, it's turning into a health hazard with rodents and everything else. So it's a stepping stone, it's year-round, and again, it's something where you, the individual, want it, fine. The individual that doesn't need it, fine. So I agree with you.
Just want to add and make it perfectly clear to all the residents out there who may not have this in front of them. Please do not bring your items down to the DPW and leave them there. That's it.
Yeah, because that's dumping, and that is a violation.
We've had problems with this in the past with not necessarily items, but oil's been a problem. There's been other things, but please do not bring it down to the facility and leave it at the gate on a weekend. Call ahead of time. They will put you on a schedule, and they'll pick it up as quickly as they can. And I think that since we're starting this new, we'll be able to keep up with it fairly well. But please do not bring it down there and just leave it there. Thank you.
I'm sorry, to echo your thing. And if you do bring it, read the sign that's on the wall of the building.
What's it say?
These premises are protected by a video camera.
They do record.
And I have something as well. I know this is something we talked about, and I think it's a good initiative. I think it's the only concern that I had brought up. I think it's fair to just voice anything that comes up, and was that although this is a great initiative and I'm supportive of it, and I'm going to vote yes for it because I think I want to try it keep an open mind and seeing if this works and helps residents, and I agree with all the sentiments the councilman has brought up. The only thing I just want to emphasize is that at some point once we implement it, 2, 3, 4, 5 months down the line, I want to see and connect with our DPW to see how many people have actually called in. I want to see if it's something that they're getting calls every day, and I want to know how much time it may be taking from them to do the daily routine things and other things. It may be very minimal. It might be something they can certainly do. But if somebody's moving out, and somebody's moving out in an apartment complex, for example, which may have higher rate of turnover here and there, and they have a lot of items that need to be removed, I just want to make sure that our DPW is able to do that and do the other things that they need to do. It's just a caution. Just want to take a look. If 5 months from now they say this is great, it's been working great, I'm extremely happy. The other thing is number 5 in the description of the a la carte. It says all bulk items must be placed at the curb for pickup by the resident. Can we just reword that? All items must be placed at the curb by the resident for pickup by DPW.
No. Why would you have to put down for pick up by DPW?
Well, it reads pick up by the resident. I understand. It's just
Also change the wording so it
Yeah,
says
yeah.
all bulk items will be placed at the curb by the resident
That's
for
correct.
pickup.
That's
Okay,
correct.
that, but not by DPW.
That's correct. I just want to make sure in case that comes up.
That's a minor semantic.
Thank you.
If I could just add something, well, I'm sure that we'll hear from the liaison about how it's working out with the DPW. We can get with that. I would also like to point out to everybody that the county hosts various special events for recycling, as well as sponsoring, permanent locations. You can go to ucnj.com, and for instance, among the special events coming up, September 27th, there's a paper shredding event, and I believe that there's also an electronic event coming up, which I can't find right this minute. But this is something else to keep in mind when you need to dispose of items that are recyclable but cannot go out in bulk or in your regular garbage or anything. Very often you can find a solution by going to the county and go to the county's website. And please check that out. And these are free, so that's something to think about.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yockelberg?
Yes.
Councilman Hilkinson?
Yes.
Councilman Cassius?
Yes.
Councilwoman Story?
Yes.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
And Councilman El Marassi?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance 2414 is hereby approved. Madam Clerk, can you please read ordinance 2415?
Ordinance 2415 is an ordinance providing funding for improvements and upgrades to radio communications system for the Borough of Roselle Park in the County of Union, New Jersey, appropriating $100,000 from capital surplus for such purpose.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Council President.
Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make the motion that ordinance number 2415, 2415 be adopted on the first reading and advertised as prescribed by law for a second reading and a public hearing to be held on October the 2nd, 2014.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
I just have one question, Mayor. To my understanding, it's just something we need to do as far as signal strength goes. I just, out of curiosity, what will be canceled out of the capital ordinances to make room for this?
Councilman Size, do you know what
Yes, it corresponds with the items in 169-14, specifically the first account number represents improvements designated to the median on Westfield Avenue, and the second account number represents the purchase of a historical society building.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yekbo?
Yes.
Councilman Hutchinson?
Yes.
Councilman Casais?
Yes.
Councilwoman Story?
Yes.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
Councilman El Marassi?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance 2415 is approved for introduction. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance 2416 by title.
2416 is an ordinance amending Chapter 3, Article 17, Section 3-17-1 of the Code of the Borough of Roselle Park, curfew for juveniles.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mayor, members of council, I would like to make a motion that ordinance number 2416 be adopted on the first reading and advertised as prescribed by law for a second reading and public hearing to be held on October the 2nd, 2014.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Mayor, I do have a question on this one, and bear with me. I think all these ordinances, substantial in nature, I think they're all positive. I just had a few questions on this particular one. Is this just cleaning up language in the ordinance, not increasing anything?
There were some questions with regard to the ordinance and potential liability and legality issues, so that it cleans them up, so that we tie up the loose ends.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yekbo?
Yes.
Councilman Hutchinson?
Yes.
Councilman Casais?
Yes.
Councilwoman Story?
Yes.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
Councilman El Marassi?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance 2417 by title only.
An ordinance amending Chapter 19, Property Maintenance, Section 4.3 and 4.7 of the Code of the Borough of Roselle Park entitled Prohibited Vegetation and Violations and Penalties.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion that ordinance number 2417 be adopted on the first reading and advertised as prescribed by law for a second reading and public hearing on October the 2nd, 2014.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Sorry. Yes, Council President.
I'd like to thank Carl Pacino. I can say that right? Yeah, I'm taking it away from me again. I'm sorry. I'd like to thank Carl Pacino. I'd like to thank Rich Graves. I'd like to thank TT, Mark, for doing this. This was brought about, Councilman Kelly brought this up some time ago. So they did this. This goes back to the homes that are being abandoned by the banks. It seems that the banks, we give the bank the notice once we get notice that the property is in violation of the ordinance. Once the bank is notified, we have the ability to just keep going until the property is eventually sold. We put a lien on the property, but it seems that the banks don't really care because it's cheaper for us to do it than have them do it. So now we're forcing the hand of the bank to maintain the property. Okay? Because sooner or later it's going to get to the point that the banks are going to realize that it's getting very expensive to maintain the property. So you either want to do two things: sell it, get rid of it, or turn it over. So I thank Councilman Kelly for starting this effort, and I thank everybody for putting it in, because now it's just, we're going to start hammering the banks to maintain these properties the way the homeowners in Roselle Park, should have it. So I thank everybody for putting their hard effort into this.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yekbo?
Yes.
Councilman Hoganson?
Yes.
Councilman Casais?
Yes.
Councilwoman Story?
Yes.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
And Councilman Omarasi?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance 2417 is hereby approved for introduction. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance 2418 by title.
An ordinance amending the code of the Borough of Roselle Park, abolishing Chapter 34 entitled Special Improvement District.
Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion that ordinance number 2418 be adopted on the first reading and advertised as prescribed by law for a second reading and public hearing on October 2nd, 2014.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
I had the privilege of back in 2009 when I first came on to sit in on the SID meetings, Special Improvement District. And after about a year or so, it got to the point that there were numerous other council people there. So 4 council people we'd have to advertise. So I moved on, and in that time, I haven't seen or heard anything from the committee or from the people. I had the opportunity, I was called to have the meeting in August that they had, and I was a little surprised that I was told the meeting started at 6 and the meeting started at 5:30. And there was only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people there, not counting the chairman and myself, so that was 8. And some of the things that I learned that day, that there was 240 requests that they wanted to expand it all the way down Westfield Avenue from Galvin Hill to Grove Street. And out of 240-something responses, there was maybe a possibility of 6 that wanted to join. And the thing that really got me was once the budget was sent to our chief financial officer, because the more, there's a 3% tax on the businesses, and the more money that's brought in, the bigger the salary. And it was almost 9.2% pay raise that he would have gotten. And that was only with the 6 businesses that wanted to, and even then, one of them was out of the SID district totally. And when I first heard in 2009, and what I've seen was, we were supposed to get this beautiful, booklet, and as much as it's a good idea, I haven't seen it. I spent my whole life down on Chestnut Street shopping and buying, talking to the merchants, and quite a few of them are not happy. So I will be supporting this, ordinance to, because like the merchant said, that 3% they can be putting it back, where they're getting charged 3%. Here's a guy making a 9.2% pay raise. So it was a good effort. We gave it a 6-year try, and I just feel that at this time I agree with the ordinance. That's my comment.
Mayor, if I could just add, since I brought it forward, I submitted it to the clerk's office. Especially this year, going back, prior to me even being on council, I was a supporter of the SID, because it was a great idea. I still, in many ways, think it is a great idea. I feel that a lot of the people who invest the time in trying to lead the SID from a business person's perspective have a lot of great intentions, and they're good and decent people. The problem is that when you look at the facts, when you look at what's happening, there's just not enough to substantiate. Councilman Hoganson said the surcharge or the tax, it's an added tax on the businesses in that area. And it would be a whole other thing if all the businesses were gung-ho about it, and all the landlords and everyone who was paying the taxes down there were gung-ho about it. We just couldn't get the wheels to turn. They needed to knock the rust off and figure it out. But the problem is that most recently, I found out that from last year, which is last year's budget, which would be less than what would be proposed in this year's budget, out of 52 properties, 12 were delinquent enough to go into what would be this year's tax sale, which to me is just very telling that many of the owners in the current SID either are not engaged, don't want to be part of it, or a combination of both. I'm not saying that there could never be a SID in Roselle Park. Maybe at some other time. Maybe at some other time. But as of right now, I just can't see going forward with this. I mean, 12 out of 52 is a little less than 25% of, and that's just people who are paying. Now, I'm sure there's other businesses, and I've heard from them, that are paying and they don't like paying, but they pay anyway. And like Councilman Hoganson said, they could be using that money themselves to do something for their own business, putting it back to the community, expanding the business, hiring another employee, hiring another local employee. I mean, there's endless possibilities, but unfortunately right now, it's as if their money's going into a pit and there's not a whole lot of return on their investment, which is what we're all worried about up here, I think, when any taxes are paid, the return on investment. So, it's with a heavy heart that I submit this ordinance, because as I said in the beginning, it's something that I truly supported 4 years ago, but right now it's just not feasible, from my perspective.
I'd like to agree. I've spoken to a number of the merchants downtown to try to get a firm feeling that, sometimes you complain or grumble about something, and it doesn't really mean that you may want to see changes, whatever. It doesn't mean that you want to get rid of it. In this case, it's pretty clear they want to get rid of it. It's not just a case of, usual complaining. I think that there are things that could be done downtown with perhaps a voluntary merchants association. I think advertising is a big lack. But, I mean, my profession is in publishing, and I've got to tell you, it doesn't take from 2009 to 2014 to get out a magazine, which actually hasn't gotten out yet. I mean, these things can be done. They can be done. I know other towns do them rather lavishly. They can be done lavishly. They can be done more simply. Other approaches can be taken. And I think that this, as Councilman Kasai said, this money could be going to other things such as advertising, such as maybe a merchants association, which would be much, much less expensive. And, it just may be possible to do things similar to this, but in a different way, because the bottom line here is this just isn't working.
Please. I'm sorry. As to touch up on Councilman Casais' thing about the businesses, as he said, 25% of them were in the process of foreclosure. I mean, as far as going on to the tax lien, I rephrased that, to going on to the tax lien. I took the list and I went to go see these merchants personally, and one was quite surprised because she said when she was first notified 3 years ago there was going to be a trial for 3 years, which it was originally going to be. And then all of a sudden I told her, and I says, if you don't come up with this very soon, you will be in a tax lien, which means the property will, somebody come in and buy that amount, and then she'd have to pay that amount back plus 18% interest. So 3 of the 4 merchants that I did go see were quite shocked. And then looking at the budget, I saw roughly it was $6,000 to $8,000 to do planting, which our borough clerk did a few years ago for about $400 on Chestnut Street. So it just 1-on-1 didn't come up to 2. Like I says, I think it is a good idea. I think it needs to be really overhauled. So again, I make my comment.
This is the only thing that I would ask prior to the second reading of this ordinance. I would like somebody to contact the city, whether that be Councilman Casillas or Councilman Hokinson, since you two seem to have been the most active in discussions about this. Maybe both of you together could contact the city, explain to them what the issues are, and see if there's some way to transition into maybe a Chamber of Commerce type of setup or something. Chambers of Commerce have been tried in this community before and not been successful. Everybody has their own idea about how things are supposed to run. And I know this because I happen to be involved on a personal level. Chestnut Street looks much better today than it did 3 years ago, than it did 5 years ago. The shops are full. I'm not saying it's because of the city, I'm not saying it's not because of the city. But I do hope that at least we give them an opportunity to understand what council's thought process is, and perhaps give them an opportunity to voluntarily transition, if this doesn't work out, into a Chamber of Commerce or some other concept for the downtown development. The investment in sweat equity is already there. The financial investment by the businesses is what seems to be the biggest problem. So perhaps we can transition into the sweat equity and continue the improvements downtown, even if this is to take effect. So again, I ask Councilman Hokinson and Councilman Casillas to jointly reach out to the CID members so they know this is going on, if they're not surprised by it, and discuss what our concerns are, what your concerns are, and what they might have to say, and see if there's some solution once this is gone, if it's gone. Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yakubo.
Yes.
Councilman Hokinson.
Yes.
Councilman Casillas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Story.
Yes.
Councilman Kelly.
Yes.
And Councilman Almarasi.
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, Mayor.
Ordinance 2418 is approved for introduction. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance 2419 by title.
It is an ordinance amending Chapter 40, Section 3002A of the Code of the Borough of Roselle Park, freestanding banners.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mayor and members of council, I would like to make a motion that ordinance number 2419 be adopted on first reading and advertised as prescribed by law for a second reading and a public hearing held on November the 6th, 2014.
Second.
Any questions or comments on ordinance 2419?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to thank Carl Pacino and everybody for, again, this is the whole prospect of, businesses. What's good for one should be good for all. And I thank Carl for, getting this done so quickly, and I thank Madam Clerk for getting it on the agenda quickly.
I just want to say that earlier this year we redid the sign ordinance. We did pretty much a comprehensive overhaul of the sign ordinance. And I think this small change, although it's small and it's going to help out the businesses who want to be part of, having freestanding banners. Prior, it would only be on Westfield Avenue, but now it would be open up to a greater variety of stores. Just shows that these things evolve. We learn, and sometimes, and a lot of the times, we don't get it right the first time. So I think it's a good job. I think it's a good thing.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yakubo.
Yes.
Councilman Hokinson.
Yes.
Councilman Casillas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Story.
Yes.
Councilman Kelly.
Yes.
And Councilman Almarasi.
Yes.
6 votes in the
Thank
affirmative.
you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance 2419 is approved for introduction. We're now going to move into our consent agenda. These items are considered routine and non-controversial and will be approved in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of council requests that it be removed, in which case it will be placed on in the normal sequence of events at a later time. Madam Clerk, please read resolutions 196-14 through 200-14.
196-14, canceling capital ordinances. 197-14, the renewal of inactive ABC liquor license 2015-44001007, R&K Corporation for the 2014-15 license term. 198-14, accepting the resignation of school crossing guards Christine Williamson and Margaret Rictelli. 199-14, appointing Arthur Dodd and Krishna Patel to the position of full-time school crossing guard. And 214, authorizing the Roselle Park Fire Department to conduct training at 145 East Lincoln Avenue.
Does anyone wish to remove any of those items from the consent agenda?
Just a comment? I don't want to poll, just a comment. I'd like to just comment on 198.
Go ahead.
I'd like to pull 214.
Okay, do I hear a motion on 196-14 through 199-14?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolutions on the consent agenda as you just mentioned.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yakubo?
Yes.
Councilman Hokinson?
Yes.
Councilman Casayas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Story?
Yes.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
And Councilman El Marasi.
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Resolution 196, 197, 198, and 199-14 are hereby approved. Councilman Hawkins, you want to say something?
Yes, I'd just like to thank Mrs. Williamson and Mrs. Ricatelli for all their fine years of service for the children of our borough. They were out there for a good many years, you know, taking care of our kids, crossing our kids to get them to school to and from safely. You know, it's tough out there, summer, winter, spring, fall, snow, ice, snow, sleet, hot and cold. So again, I'd like to thank Mrs. Williamson and Mrs. Ricatelli for their years of service to the borough.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion on 200-14?
Yes, I'd like to just get some details on that one.
Would you make a motion, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for 200-14.
Second.
Got a motion and a second on 200-14. Do I have any questions or comments?
Yes, I'd like to learn more about what that is.
Sure. There's a house that's being sold at 145 East Lincoln Avenue, and they offered the fire department to be able to go into the home and do some training. So we're just approving that they have the right to go in and go to that house. The fire chief has taken a hold harmless agreement from the owner that he will hold the borough harmless, and our insurance company will provide a certificate.
The question I have is this training live, burn, or is it just...
I
they're going to start that?
I was thinking,
Help the homeowners.
I don't know
house
who
on
owns the
fire?
house, so I don't want to offend anyone about it.
Or are they going to put a whole hole in the wall? Cut the roof? Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, so don't like burn, so don't bring the marshmallow. Okay.
Are there any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Yakubo?
Yes.
Councilman Hokinson?
Yes.
Councilman Casayas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Story?
Yes.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
Councilman El Marasi.
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Resolution 200-14 is hereby approved. Other than the item that Councilman Hokinson mentioned earlier, the Halloween situation, which is going to be discussing with the committee, is there anything else for referral to committee or council?
One item, just an update for closed session regarding the number of the house property on West Lincoln. 151, yes.
And what's the basis of the,
Possible litigation. Right.
it's 151
Oh, okay.
West Lincoln?
It's very brief.
Okay, whereas the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Roselle Park wish to discuss matters which are described in the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-12, Whereas the general nature of the subjects to be discussed in closed session are Occidental, petroleum litigation, Elizabeth versus joint meeting of Essex and Union County litigation, and potential litigation at 151 West Lincoln. Whereas the time, when, and the circumstances under which the items discussed in closed session will be disclosed to the public at a later time, therefore now be resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Roselle Park during the open portion of the meeting and open a closed portion of the meeting to discuss those items. Do I hear a motion to go into closed?
Second. Motion.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We now in closed session. Thank you for coming, everybody. And we're back in open session. In closed session, we discussed the following items: Occidental litigation, Elizabeth versus joint meeting of Essex and Union County litigation, potential litigation 151 West Lincoln Avenue. We cannot reach a conclusion on any of those matters, and therefore there's nothing else to report. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.